Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster's online Sunday celebration service. Please join in for our opening song this morning, Swing Wide the Doors.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go now. Doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. Shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for, and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. All right now, swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Welcome back. I am Reverend Rona Segura, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Sunday celebration service at Unity of New Westminster in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Whether you are watching us live on Zoom or on Facebook or on YouTube, or whether you are finding us on demand after the service, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of all of us here. We would love to stay connected with you. So please subscribe to our newsletter on our website, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or join our Facebook group. And that way you will be notified anytime we have a service. We are so glad that you are part of our experience today. The Unity Movement offers ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom in faith traditions all over the world. We respect every person's right to choose their own spiritual path, their own life path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We open our service today in prayer. I gratefully acknowledge that I speak to you on the traditional and unceded territory of the Semiahmoo First Nation. And we give thanks to First Nation peoples everywhere for their custody of this beautiful land. We give thanks for our connection one with each other. That connection that happens whether we are in each other's physical presence or not. That connection that binds us all together. We acknowledge that there is only one presence, that there is only one power, that power that is understood by many names, many faces, and many paths. And we affirm that regardless of the name, the face, or the path of our understanding, that we are one human family. And it is in that knowledge of our oneness that we send a blessing for love, for peace, for contentment to every being on this planet, to every being, regardless of all the labels that threaten to divide us. We are one. And for this knowledge, for this intention, and for the power that we have to bless, we give thanks. Amen. It is my pleasure to welcome Thomas DeSchutter as our guest speaker this week. Thomas has spoken at Unity of New Westminster before, and people enjoyed his speaking so much. He is a lover of life. He is a champion for what is possible. And one of the things that delights Thomas is assisting people to cultivate their innate wisdom and to use spiritual teachings to help them take their business and their personal lives to new heights. Thomas is the board president at the recently created Unity of Vancouver Island, which has been emerging of the 3 Unity centers on Vancouver Island. So Unity Victoria, Unity Comox Valley, and Nanaimo have all come together to create one center called Unity of Vancouver Island, and Thomas is the board president. As if he's not busy enough with that, Thomas is a ministerial student at Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute, and he has podcasts, he has YouTube channels, he has spoken to thousands of people in various settings around the world. He is so inspirational and so approachable that I know that you will enjoy hearing him speak. He lives on Vancouver Island along with his wife, 2 daughters, a dog, goats, and guinea pigs. I hope you enjoy Thomas DeSchutter as much as I do. I know you will.
Hi there. Welcome. My name is Thomas DeSchutter. Thank you so much for allowing me into your home or your spiritual center, wherever it is that we are connecting today. I'm truly grateful that you have chosen to be here and have allowed me into this space. So thank you. Today we're going to talk about one of the 12 powers, that being order. But before we dive into that, a few things, just a few housekeeping things. One is I'm going to be presenting a slideshow. And with that means I might be looking down or to my left in order to click some buttons and just make sure that I can make this as seamless as possible. So just bear with me as I transition from a full screen setup like this to a slideshow. Now, the 12 powers. So this first came out in the 1920s. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote a book called The 12 Powers of Man. And then a few years ago, you might be familiar with Reverend Paul Hasselbeck of Unity. He co-authored a book with Bill and Cher Holton, referred to as Power Up Your Life. And now this was a real upgrade to the 12 powers from the 1920s, and an upgrade in the sense of it brought in a lot of the science of today. It brought in a lot of the psychology of today that wasn't around back in the 1920s. But here's what's really great about this is that Charles was really, really bang on with a lot of stuff around the 12 powers. And so I found it fascinating to be reading an updated version after having read Charles' book and realizing that, you know, he was really onto something. And a lot of that has been reaffirmed in the science of today and the psychology of today. Now, one of the things you might not realize is that these 12 powers are working with you whether you know it or not. For example, you know that you have the ability to believe. You know that you have the ability to be strong about something. You know that you have the ability to have willpower around something. You know that you have the ability to let go of things. You know that you have the ability to put order into things. Well, all of these are part of our 12 powers. And so one of the keys is to realize that we have them and to consciously choose to use them. To consciously be aware that I am now going to access this power. I'm now going to focus on this power. And when we do that, you might find that your life shifts, right? That you have new tools in which to work from. So now you'll see a photo of me. That's quite a while ago. It's a much younger version of me. And I am standing next to the actor Morgan Freeman. And you may know Morgan Freeman from a lot of different movies. What I looked at when I saw this again, when I pulled out this picture was, guess what? That's me conversing with God. You may know that Morgan shot a movie a number of years ago where he played God in that movie. And so I look back at this now and think, oh, that's pretty funny that I was actually conversing with God. And I wonder if that's where this idea of becoming a minister was planted into me. You know, it's possible that he was up to something at that point, although I highly doubt it. It is a bit of a funny point for me that, wow, when I saw that, when I revisited that photo, I was like, oh, yeah, that's funny. Let's begin with our intention for today. And I think this intention can carry on to many, many other areas of the 12 powers besides just order. So our intention is to set ourselves up powerfully in order to embrace new ways of being that will allow us to discover the infinite supply that is all around us and readily available so that we may step into it with purpose, grace, and ease. And I really like that last bit, with purpose, grace, and ease. Because, that is orderly too. Now, there's two sides to order. There's the side of the physical world of putting things into order, of having an orderly way of doing things. For example, if you wanted to build a deck or add a deck onto your house, if you wanted to start a project at work, any of those things, you would want to construct an order in which you're going to begin, the middle parts, and end, so that you have a process for start, middle, and end, where you can actually achieve what it is you set out to do. And then there's the idea of spiritual order. And there's a process even to spiritual order and how that works and how that unfolds. So first, let's look at a couple of definitions. So one is awakening. It's a noun. It's an act of waking from sleep, an act or moment of becoming suddenly aware of something, or the beginning or rousing of something. The beginning or rousing of something. And that's that's the part I really like. When I think back to that first time I ever had goosebumps, and my mom, the hairs on my arm stood up, and my mom explained that to me. That arousing within, or that feeling of spiritual awareness, that feeling like, oh, this feels really good for me. That is what I'm talking about when I think of awakening. That arousing within of something that wants to come forth, kind of like, if you think about it, our truth. Right? The truth of who we are. Next, we have consciousness, the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings, the awareness or perception of something by a person, or the fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. The fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. Now, again, when we have awakening, we have consciousness. We can see that there's an orderly sequence to that around spirituality. We have that awakening, that feeling, that arousing inside of something. And then we begin to develop that consciousness, that understanding that there's an outside world, but there's also an inside world. And the two are not exactly the same. Right? There's our perception of what's going on out there, and then there's those thoughts and feelings that are within. And what is in here is really what we end up perceiving out there. It's all made up from in here. I like to say, from the inside out. The best way to live our lives is from the inside out. And that has an order to it and a way of developing that. There's a gentleman here in Canada named Jordan Peterson, and he's a psychologist. He was a professor at I believe it's the University of Toronto. He's well known. He's done a lot of work in the world the last few years, especially. He kind of had a rising star with some comments that he made a number of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that have really put him to the forefront. And what's really interesting is he was recording a lot of his lectures back when he was a professor, and they're all on YouTube. And so you can get a real sense of who he is. One of the things I've enjoyed as I saw him do a talk about the Bible, and he talked about order and chaos, and the idea of, when we're living our best lives, when we're really sure of things and feeling good, is we have 1 foot firmly planted in order and 1 foot firmly planted in chaos, and we're riding right down the middle. That orderly foot gives us that feeling of comfort, that feeling of we've got it together, this is going to be good, feeling really great. And that's perfectly balanced by that chaos that we're not really sure also, and that pushes our growing edge. You know, you might have heard that expression before, our growing edge. What is it? That's that chaos side that allows us to see things about where we might want to direct our attention, areas that we might want to focus on that we can grow into. And so as Charles wrote out order, what's really cool about this, the 12 powers, is that he gave them some very specific things. So each one of the 12 powers was attached to a disciple. In this case, it was James, the son of Alphaeus. The month that it's celebrated is September, but that was really done by Unity a number of years later. But Charles gave us the color being dark green and the location in the body, the belly button. And it's very interesting that in every one of our 12 powers, there's a location in our body that we can relate to. And then I've included here an affirmation. The Christ in me now activates perfect order. You can join in with me if you'd like. My spiritual path unfolds in its proper sequence. Divine timing and order are now established in my life. I give thanks for the faculty of order. And I just want to go back to that placement in the body, that order being in our belly. You know, right here in our center torso, the middle, you know, our chest is our heart. And this is where that power of love resides, that harmony, that feeling of being in harmony. And then we have the rest of our powers, you know, from the neck up and from the rib cage down. And so order is here in our belly. And also just below that is our wisdom. And just below that is our release, our ability to let go. And around the back here in our lower spine is our strength. And then right down here in our reproductive organs is the power of life. And so I find it fascinating that Charles had really, you know, created these areas where we can focus our attention on. And what I realized in that book by Paul Hasselbeck and Bill Holton, The Power Up Your Life, was how some of the science and psychology actually works out that that's the right place for those powers to be. Now, Charles and Myrtle developed the idea of a unity expression of the Holy Trinity. And if you had previous religious upbringings in a Christian faith, you might be familiar with God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit as the Trinity. Well, Charles and Myrtle brought that to life with mind idea expression, which has an orderly flow to how we operate. So we have this divine mind from which we form divine ideas, from which we then express into the world. And that's our process. That's our connection to Source, to God, to that divine spirit. So we have this divine mind. From that, we formulate divine ideas, and then we go out into the world and we express them. And this may sound familiar to you along with the Unity's 5 principles, right? God is, I am, I think, I affirm, I act. Again, there's an orderly sequence to that. And that's really what the beauty of order is that, as I said earlier, we can look at it as the physical world, putting order into things like if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to build a house. One of the easiest ones is, hey, I'm going to take a trip somewhere. Well, there's an order in which you need to do things in order to arrive at your destination. Right? It doesn't work if things are out of sequence. And in spiritual practice, it's the same thing. We can have an orderly way of operating our spiritual practice. And so what might that look like? So for me, for example, and I can, one of the best examples I can always give is from my own life. For me, I have a very disciplined approach to each day. When I'm home, my mornings look pretty much the same. They're pretty boring. I wake up, I do push-ups, I meditate, I pray, I head off into the wilderness with the dog, I do gratitude with trees and in the forest, I get my connection to Mother Earth, to nature, and then I come home and I have a coffee, and that's, and then I start my day. And here's what's beautiful about that, as a friend pointed out to me, is what's beautiful is I win the first part of my day every single day. Like, I do those things, I check them off on a little app I have on my phone as done, 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 done. And then I move on to my day. And what else comes up in that is part of my daily ritual as well is either listening to a podcast, a YouTube video, or reading, where I'm bringing up my awareness. And it's usually around spiritual truth or principles, especially right now while I'm in ministerial school. I have a lot of reading to do. And so all of those practices really allow me to have an orderly fashion to my awareness of my truth, to ground me for the day. Because what I found is after that, anything can come up, but I'm in a really good place. Now, when I travel or when I go on vacation, that gets a little wonky. And although I do those things every day, it might not be as dialed in as when I'm at home. When I'm at home, though, it's pretty much a machine. This is the way it is. And I know it sounds boring, but my life since implementing this orderly practice has shifted in so many beautiful ways because, and I have to attribute it to the fact that every day I am building my truth, my spiritual awareness, and I'm staying grounded and connected to God, to source, whatever you want to call that. So let's look at order in terms of, that beautiful zone. So if we're too little in the order, well, things are messy. We can't sequence them. We have difficulty adjusting. It really looks like chaos. It's a mess, right? When there's too little order in our lives. And then if we go too far to the other side, we have too much, then we become obsessive and compulsive. We're inflexible. We're over tidy. We're like everything needs to be, it's like that compulsive, I can't have anything out of place. It's like, who moved my stuff? That kind of thing. But that really great middle zone gives us balance. We're well adjusted. Things are sequencing. We feel organized. And that's really the place that we want to be. We want to have that balance. And it's the same for all the 12 powers. We can have, where we're consciously creating, when we've awakened and we're consciously creating our lives, when we look at the 12 powers, we can have that middle where we're working with that power. But if we're not aware of how it's showing up in our lives, we could have too little of it or too much of it. So it's always there. It's always operating. It's, are we awakened and conscious to it? And that's one of the things that we can work on to really bring our lives to that abundant place that we want to live from. Now let there be light. We can see spiritual order. We can see physical order in the story of Genesis. So I don't know if you've ever read Genesis. I don't know how you feel about the Bible, but I will say this, that I invite you to get out the New Revised Standard Version, the NRSV of the Bible. The reason I bring that up is because it's in more modern language. And just go through Genesis. You will see that there's an order to everything that unfolds. The 7 days, the first 7 days are very orderly in how things are done. And I've got an example here for you. So in the beginning, so this is like right out of Genesis 1, in the beginning, Source created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of Source was hovering over the waters. And Source said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Source saw that light was good and separated the light from the darkness. Source called the light day and the darkness night, and there was evening and there was morning, the first day. So you can see that there was an actual order to the way things unfolded in that sequence. And that's the same through all of the story of Genesis. So I do invite you, if you've never read it, or if it's been a really long time, to just open that up and have a look and see that spiritual order, see that even that physical order to the story of the beginning of this beautiful earth that we live on. And in closing, Maria Montessori said this: "Order is one of the needs of life, which, when it is satisfied, produces a real happiness." Order is one of the needs of life, which, when it is satisfied, produces a real happiness. And with that in mind, I invite you to join me for a meditation using and focusing on our power of order. In an orderly way, we'll go through this meditation. And at the end, I will ring a bell to bring us back, and we'll close off with gratitude. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. If not, just find a spot where you can soften your gaze. And let's begin with noticing our breath. If you will, please, with me, breathe deeply through your nose into your belly. You'll feel your belly rise and let that go. And now I invite you to take both hands and just place one on your belly, one over top of your hand. And again, breathing into your belly through your nose, feeling your belly rise. And as you exhale, feeling it fall. This is where order resides. This is that place of order. And we invite order into our awakening. We invite order into our consciousness. And as the story of Genesis showed us that there was an orderly fashion to the unfolding of this earth and of creation, we too know that there's an unfolding for ourselves, an orderly unfolding to everything that we want for ourselves and for our lives. And I invite you now to think of one thing, one area in your life where you would like to bring more order. Could be your clothes closet, could be your dresser drawer, could be your garage. Maybe it's your daily routine. Maybe it's how you sequence your thinking. I invite you to bring that in now. And let's affirm that we bring order to this place. And you can name this place to yourself. I affirm that I bring order to this area of my life. And I seal it now with breath into my belly, feeling it rise and fall. And as you hold space for that affirmation, join me in silence, holding space for that affirmation. And at the sound of the bell, I'll bring us back. invite you to gently bring yourself back to your body, your awareness. You can open your eyes, allow your hands to fall down by your side. Bringing yourself back to the space and time, your room, wherever it is you are. Consciously awake. And join me as we place our hands, palms together in front of our hearts in the Anjali Mudra position. We give gratitude to all of those that are with us here today, all of those that join us in meditation and practice. We give gratitude to ourselves for being here, for taking on this spiritual awakening, this consciousness. And in closing, we say, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Namaste.
I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light. I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me what am I am beauty, I am joy. I am more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light that brightens someone's darkest night. And so much more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
You are invited to join us on Mondays at 11 o'clock for our weekly prayer service. It is a time where we get together on Zoom and we connect with each other. We share how we are doing with each other. we move into a time of guided prayer. And we read the names of the people who are on our prayer list. And it is a time of renewal, of connection. It is a profound experience of recentering. And so I invite you to join us for that. And if you would like your name, or you know someone who you would like to have added to that prayer list, then please email us at unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to have the person's name or your name added to our list. Mondays at 11. Our food pantry is 1 year old. For those of you who may not be aware, we have a food pantry that is just on the outside of the church building and is available and accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for anyone to take food if they need it and to drop food off if they have spare. And at the moment, our inventory is quite low. And so I am asking you to take a look in your cupboards, or the next time that you're at the grocery store, pick up an extra can or two of some food and please drop it off at the food pantry. It has been a real success. People have taken food and left food a lot over the course of this year. And so I'd love to see that continue going. And to do that, we want to have lots of inventory there so people can take it if they need to. So please inject some food into that food pantry, canned goods only. Thanks. Thursday, September 9th is Unity's annual World Day of Prayer. We will broadcast a program at 11 a.m. with prayer, meditation, song, and poetry. This year's theme is All is Well with My Soul. You are invited to watch on our website by following the Unity Live link, or watch on Facebook, YouTube, and join us on Zoom. Thursday, September 9th at 11 o'clock, World Day of Prayer. Recognizing that the COVID-19 numbers in our area have been rising recently, Audrey Pound's family has decided to cancel the celebration of her life, which was scheduled for Saturday, September the 11th. We are disappointed that we aren't able to pay tribute to Audrey in the way that she would have liked and the way that she so richly deserved. And yet we know that Audrey, who loved people so much, would be devastated if anyone was to become ill at an event which was in honor of her. She would never want to put anyone's health at risk. We send love and appreciation to her family, and we send love, appreciation, blessings to Audrey. We miss her, we remember her, and we celebrate the light that she was to everyone she met. There are many, many ways to give to our organization, either through credit card, online, or direct Interac transfers, or checks, or cash. We are so grateful for the generosity of the contributions that we receive, which support not just our ministry, but also organizations in our own community that do amazing work, and Unity Canada that spreads the message of unity across the country. Thank you for your contributions. I invite you now to hold whatever you feel blessed for in your hands, in your heart: financial, family, roof over your head, food on the table, just whatever you are feeling blessed with as we sing our blessing song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And we come to the end of another service. I thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed your experience with us today. I wish you all a very, very blessed week. Goodbye, everybody.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. I am the light of God.